Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys. So, yeah, we went up another day. I'm just going to remind everyone, we have FOMC coming in tomorrow. So we got a rate decision. We're going to have Powell speaking 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, that's going to bring the intraday volatility. And then what brings the after hours volatility is going to be the Mag 7 stock earnings. Okay. Tomorrow we have Meta reporting. Okay. We have Google reporting and we have Microsoft reporting. This is sure to bring volatility. So no matter what, intraday and after hours tomorrow is going to be volatile. I'm just going to say, guys, I'm not going to say things look all that bad here at all. I don't think you really can be bearish here. The only thing telling me to look for downside is going to be, what I shared in the weekly update there. 13 out of 13 occurrences, new all-time highs made past, December 2023. 13 out of 13 times, if you made new all-time highs off of declining volume, the next week you saw sellers step in. So far, guys, we've gone vertical in the upward direction. Sellers are nowhere to be seen. You only have 3 sessions left to, end this weekly candlestick here. At some point, I'm still expecting that we will see on that weekly candle, sellers stepping in. And the only way that happens from this point is if they, dump it into end of week. So maybe we do continue pushing a little higher. We do see, increasing volume here. All of these, we're just continuing higher into the sky here, all supported by volume. Okay. SPY has a little different, picture going on there, but, NASDAQ definitely is leading the charge with Nvidia. All right. Getting up to $200 today, really just dragging the whole market with it. I'm just going to say, guys, Nvidia is probably going to continue pushing in the short term here. Maybe it does consolidate, but, at this point, it's likely this is the weekly candle over here. We're probably going to see this, last for multiple weeks, this rally. Could be wrong, but, at this point, yeah, I think the participants over here, market participants, have made their decision. They're dragging this thing much higher. Jensen decided to show the world today that, I'd say you got Trump and then you got Jensen, okay, that he can certainly move the market, all right? The market wants to keep going higher in the short term. I'm still expecting that move down by end of week, but hey, I'm okay with being wrong. It is what it is. We'll see if we get it. Okay. As far as levels go on QQ, guys, on the upside, we have today's high 634.68. Up there, we're just talking 640. On the downside, you have 628.55, 624.03, 618.42, and 613.18. On SPY on the upside, we have today's highs 688.91. Above there, watch that 690 psych level. Above there, 692, 695. And then we have $700. I personally think we test 690. See a pullback in between there and 690 to 695. See the pullback, and then yeah, sometime over the coming weeks we are gonna be marching back up, to see that 700 psych level hit, or we're just gonna head straight up to $700. I'm really not sure, but the fact that we are just gapping into the sky here, SPY and QQ, I have to assume at some point the music is gonna stop and we're gonna have some mean reversion going on. And yeah, I just don't think we're going to go another 12 points over here, or 11 points to $700 from today's high. All right. But yeah, that's upside levels on SPY, guys. On the downside, we have 685.54, 682.12, 678.47, 673.95. DIA, guys, looks very similar to SPY. Okay. You did see sellers start stepping in today. And then over here on IWM, I just want to highlight that, yeah, the only big orders that were coming in out of the money were, puts. Okay. Puts were active today. We could see a lot of November and December puts were loaded today. All right. And yeah, I'm not sure if IWM is going to take out this high before we, get a larger move down here. I do know, at some point it's going to be tested here, but it doesn't tell us when. All right, and I have to assume with all the weakness it's been having, I have a feeling, SPY and QQ pull back a bit. IWM is probably going to get a larger pullback. We're going to find a way back down here to 244. All right. Yeah, honestly, guys, I'm just going to say stay on the cautious side. I'm telling you for a fact, 13 out of 13 times over the last 2 years, I think that's something to take into consideration. All right, if you have odds suggesting that sellers are going to step in on that weekly candle, and we only have 3 sessions left in the week, you've gone vertical now for 2 of those. All right, you know, I think it's probably going to happen, and you might as well, you know, oh no, you caught most of the rally and you missed a little bit of it. Oh no, I'm just saying. All right, you know, so do what you got to do, and yeah, no crying if the thing ends up pulling back and everyone's all sad, but not you, because you knew about it ahead of time. Okay. Mags ETF, guys, we definitely we have liftoff here. We're definitely in the sky at this point. Mag 7 stocks are taking this market higher. Who knew Nvidia was going to be dragging everything up with it? Amazon reports on Thursday. Not looking bad over here. I'm just going to say this looks like it wants all-time highs. I could be, you know, could be wrong. But, you know, you just had this larger correction, and yeah, you had this false breakdown and you recovered it. And I have to assume they're going to take you up from here. But, you know, I don't know. It's going to be earnings. You don't know. I don't know. So I'm not really going to take a lot of time and talk about these things right before earnings, because at the end of the day, all of this kind of goes out the window, in my opinion. All right. But yeah, you know, everything looks good. Mags ETF, it looks good. I'm just telling you for a fact. Something dumps the market in my mind by end of week. I don't know. Call me crazy. But yeah, it's either going to be FOMC, Jerome brings down the hammer, or it's going to be these Mag 7 stock earnings. Not really sure. Microsoft looks like it wants to take out the sign and continue pushing. That is that. Google, I'm really not going to spend a lot of time on these guys today, guys. There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason. It reports earnings tomorrow. We'll see what happens. You're flying high in the sky. The fact that you push this much into you know, right up into it makes me think they're going to dump it. It's my opinion. All right. Meta over here, it looks like it wants to push up the highs, but I've maintained that, you know, opinion ever since we got this red monthly candlestick right over here, that I am looking for them to do nothing in September, but trade you back and forth. And then October into November, I was looking for the larger pushback to highs. Nothing has changed. All right, we'll see if they do it the last week of October here. Tesla, all right, this is one I will just say. Nvidia was the star of the show today, but the fact that, you know, similar sizes coming over here into Tesla, shorter dated options, so we're seeing on Nvidia, without the big catalyst, without it being the star of the show, you know, this stands out to me a lot more. But yeah, 1114, 500C, very active today over here on Tesla. The fact that you're finally breaking up from the 6-week range tells us, yeah, they're probably about to drive this thing up to all-time highs. Next 1 to 2 weeks, I personally think we're going to be right up here, and we're going to $500. But yeah, you're breaking up from the 6-week range. You spent basing up above previous all-time highs. Okay, you respected it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-week range. This is the 7th week. You're starting to break up above it. Okay. Nvidia, we all saw Nvidia today. It's beautiful. It's a monster, and it's very likely going to continue pushing. Heavy volume today. I could see why it was pushing today. If anybody else watched that, it was beautiful. But yeah, I'll just tell you, Jensen, guys, he's a trendsetter. All right, he's the OG pumper there. You think Trump's got the power? I'm telling you over here, Trump's got the power because he's the president. Jensen has the power because he's just this badass dude. All right, you can't hate the guy. You can't. But yeah, either way, Nvidia is likely going to continue. I'm thinking 205 in the short term. I think we actually got there in the after hours already. Yeah, right at 205, the highest 204.85, just about. I think we're probably going to 210. And if you close out the week strong, I imagine they're probably going to continue pushing this over the coming weeks. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. All right, and that's what I got for you over there. Indices and the Mag 7 stocks. Now, moving on, guys. These are just some things that are standing out to me. All right, first of which is AVGO. Okay, pushing up the previous all-time highs. Okay, it's all-time highs. You're about to make a new one from the looks of it. Got this increasing volume on this push. It looks like it wants to make a move. All right, I'm assuming into the end of the month here, they're gonna do a decent job of pumping this thing from the looks of it. Okay, that is AVGO. INTC, all right, you pulled back off of, your earnings gap up there. You sold it, found buyers near the 9 EMA, and now you're pushing up to a new high. INTC, guys, this is It's looking like the first week of, you know, probably a multi-week push. And I'm thinking 50 plus is going to be coming here. But yeah, you have a lot of consolidation that's just now starting to break out. So if you think you missed the move, I'm just telling you, you're just now breaking out of this consolidation. You didn't miss anything. It's just now showing you that it wants to move again. Palantir, all right, broke out from this 5-week range, guys. You gapped up on the week. You've now consolidated up here. Did not get a daily close over 190 all-time high 2 days in a row now. Okay. The second you get that close above there, it's on. But I'm just going to say push above 192.83. This is probably on its way to $200. This is very likely just basing out. 4-hour RSI did get overbought. Well, if you look back, it's just what happens when you get overbought. You take a chill pill right there, and then you get your second wind. Okay, pretty much every time. So you know, nothing you know, too different from what you normally get over here. Now here's the thing. 5-week range breakout. It's very likely not just going to stop here. I'm thinking this thing is going to expand into end of week here. Maybe we're going to have some action tomorrow because maybe the market's going to be dumping after tomorrow. All right. So, you know, if this thing is going to go, yeah, I think it's going to need the cooperation from the market. It had a nice old catalyst today. Okay. Got, you know, pointed out as the, all right, quote unquote, the partnership of the century. Palantir, Nvidia. Okay. You didn't have much movement. Okay, so I'm just going to point out you didn't have much movement, even though they point out that, you know, this is the most powerful partnership that that they have. Okay, it is the icing on the cake there. But yeah, you know, not much movement so far. I'm thinking this thing, it's going to need the help from the market if it's going to get this movement. Why? Because it had its own little, you know, Nvidia tried bumping it up today and it barely moved. All right, so if it's going to move, I imagine it happens when the market's moving. And if I'm going to be accurate, or if the 13 out of 13 times, you know, that those odds there, if they're going to play out, then yeah, we're going to move up tomorrow, and then into end of week, we're going to be falling flat in our face. And I find it hard to believe Palantir is going to, you know, do what I think it's going to do if it's not moving with the market. So tomorrow could be a big day is what I'm getting on over here on Palantir. UROY, UROY, all right, heavy volume today, 20% move. I'm thinking this is going to be taking out this 537 high in the short term into end of week. And yeah, we'll see if it can get all the way back up here when it spiked all the way up there, 666. That is UROY, UROY. Noke, okay, Noke is back in the game. I am thinking Noke is probably going to be taking out this 979 high. All right, I'm not telling anybody to play it. I am not. If you are playing options, buy them in the money and buy as much time as possible, because it doesn't matter what expiration you're going for. They're all going for around the same price anyway. You might as well buy as much time as possible. Okay. But yeah, shouted up by Nvidia today. And, you know, honestly had a big segment of, you know, that presentation there was strictly about Nokia here. So I'm just saying, now backed by Nvidia, this thing is likely going to be pushing. And, you know, Nvidia also had a little, I think it was a $1 billion equity investment over here. But they're also partnering with the company there. You know, this is probably going higher. I'm just pointing it out. SOFI. Oh, you gapped up and you faded and you bought the dip. All right. By end of day, this thing pushed right back up. I think SOFI is at least going to continue pushing here in the short term. I'm saying, you know, the only way I would see a way to take advantage of it if it pulls back into 29 to 30 bucks. Okay. Specifically 30 bucks. You don't really want to come back down to 29. That's where you bounce from. You would want to just come back to 30, hold that, and then you're targeting these highs. And then, you know, boom, you caught the higher low before that next high. All right. And that is SOFI there. Joby. Okay. I'm telling you, Jensen, new pumper in town. Partnered over here with Joby, Joby. I like the chart. All right. It now has a catalyst, and I think it's probably going to have more movement than what we've had over the past 4 weeks here of doing nothing. I think it's probably time for this thing to start moving again. That's Joby. Open. You got to take out today's high, which we're going to mark it out here. Take out today's high, 855. Above there, you're breaking out from this bull flag, this pennant, this wedge. Whatever you want to call it, you'd be breaking out from it, and it's likely to spark up the next move. Open. Okay? And last of which, what I got for you guys is going to be Dell over here. Now, I've been talking about Dell the past few sessions ever since we printed this candle. Okay. And it's just kind of been trekking into this high over here, 166.10. At this point, I think this is probably going to continue heading up to all-time highs. I can't tell you how quick that's going to happen, but I've seen this thing accelerate, and I'm thinking it might be accelerating from this point. Okay, it's been moving pretty slow over here, moving pretty slow. I'm thinking we might be about to hit the jets, and we might be on our way to 179.70 sooner than people think over here on Dell. Okay, but watching on pullbacks, that's what you want to take advantage of. Pullbacks into the 9 EMA. That's going to be, providing your entry points into the moving averages. But you just had this prolonged consolidation period over here, 2 to 3 weeks. 2 weeks it looks like, and then you start pushing up. All right, so this next one is probably not going to be as deep as that, probably just going to be a shallow one before it, starts hitting the jets for that move I just talked about. If you get the pullback, it's like going to be the entry before the move I just talked about, where it hits the jets. Okay, all right, that's what I have for you guys today. I'm just going to comment path over here, guys. It got slammed today in the second half of the day. I ended up coming out over here for break even. I would just say leave it alone for the time being. If it's having this action, probably just going to base around this area for the time being, 15 to 16 bucks before that next leg up. But after a day like that, you don't really know if it's just going to find bars in this area again, push back the highs, or if it's going to cool off for a little while and you're going to be sitting around for a while if you're trying to trade it. Okay. But yeah, with that being said, guys, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you did, just please remember to leave a like. If you want to come trade with me, that link is down below. I'm live every day. And with that being said, guys, I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.